You are listening to the Mohua Show, where it's all about celebrating the Junoon among changemakers and their journey.
That ship overturned and capsized. The deep sea divers, when they opened the cabin doors, they found these 300 school children huddling each other, waiting for a rescue that never came.
Most of us look at the sea and see beauty. Very few see what lies beneath: loneliness, courage, danger, mystery, and the quiet, unseen lives of the people who keep the world moving.
We seafarers are seldom on land. We spend 6 to 9 months a year away from home, and people don't see us. Our neighbors and friends, okay, hi, when did you come? When are you going back? Okay, bye. People don't know. Frankly, people don't care. Imagine you're in lockdown at home. Now take away all land from this equation and replace it with water. Take away family and friends. Take away television. Leave behind just some WhatsApp messaging. Getting scared if any colleague coughs or sneezes, knowing that there is no medical help around. Add mental health issues, suicidal thoughts that arise because of the isolation and the stress. I mean, I've been through death incidents. In the eye of the cyclone, the swell of the sea is so high, you don't know if your ship will capsize. And if it does, then there's no one to help you. I've been chased by pirates. Once they come on board, there's nothing you can do because we are not armed. So we are sitting ducks if they manage to come on board. And they will beat us up and do whatever they want. They can kill us also. Watch lonely islands passing by, the clouds at sunset changing hue, the dark depths of the ocean blue. God knows why I come back to you, but year after year, come back to you. In 1872, the Mary Celeste was found drifting on a calm sea, and another ship which approached it got curious, and they sent their crew. And till then, nobody knows what happened to that crew. The mystery still remains because it's unsolved.
Most of us look at the sea and see beauty. Very few see what lies beneath: loneliness, courage, danger, mystery, and the quiet, unseen lives of the people who keep the world moving. Today, I'm speaking with someone who has lived in that world for decades. Captain Beetashok Chatterjee, veteran mariner, storyteller, and author of Mayday, Wind Chimes by the Sea, and Just an Old Sea Dog, and other poems. He has spent a lifetime navigating the oceans and an entire second life writing about them. From real tragedies and maritime mysteries to poetry shaped by salt, wind, and memory, his work reminds us that the sea is not just water, it is a world. And I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am when I received his book, Just an Old Dog and the Sea. Thank you so much, Beetashok, for taking out the time today and talk to us on this podcast. So, among the 13 tragedies that you explored, which one stayed with you long after you finished writing, and why did it stay back with you?
Okay, I would say the last one, the most recent maritime tragedy, which took place in 2014, stayed with me longest. Uh, you may also, I mean, people here also may be familiar with it because it was on the TV national news all everywhere. This was the tragedy of the Sewol. Sewol was a passenger ferry in South Korea, lying between the mainland and an island called Jeju, which was an overnight picnic spot, tourist spot. And that ship used to make 2 trips a week. It was a very regular run for them. However, that fateful day in 2014, nice, bright, clear, sunny day, and the ship, maybe 9 o'clock in the morning, calm sea, everything. That ship overturned and capsized and started sinking. No, it doesn't matter why and how the ship sank. That is also there in the book, but that's not the tragedy. The tragedy is that there were about 300 school children who were going out on that overnight picnic. They all perished. And they all drowned to their deaths for no fault of theirs. The fault lay totally with the ship's seniors, the captain and his crew, the government, the media, the Coast Guard, and everybody else who showed total apathy and lack of coordination. So it was really sad. And the ship sank within 2-3 hours. By noon, the ship had sunk on that day. And for months, the deep sea divers were going down and trying to retrieve the bodies one by one. And they found, when they opened the cabin doors, they found these school children uh, hugging each other, huddling each other, waiting for a rescue that never came. So the details are there in the book. I won't go into all that, but that incident stayed with me for a long, long time after I, was studying it and preparing my story on it. So that was the most touching.
Yeah. So, between poems like A Pirate Attack and The Ghost Ship, you explore both real danger and maritime mystery. So, have you personally faced moments that genuinely felt threatening? I mean, of course, you spoke about the cyclone and you spoke about the pirates that chased you. Anything within the ship when something you felt has gone wrong and yet, you didn't know where it would take you?
Yeah, the pirate attack was pretty scary, and I wrote a poem just on that. And it was, I've already talked about it. We managed to escape by the skin of our teeth because I maneuvered the ship in such a way, in a zigzag manner. It's called dovetailing, where the turbulence of the wake was so much that the speedboats started bobbing up and down and couldn't catch up with the ship, and we escaped. There have been other incidents also. There have been things falling down on your head, or almost, or you know, your hand getting jammed somewhere, or touching something very, very hot. There have been engine room accidents. There have been people falling from great heights. There have been fights on board with no with on the good old days. Now people have calmed down. There have been fights on board, and if you've tried to stop them, you've been you could be in danger yourself. So there have been several incidents, and as I said, I've been fortunate. I've been fine. I've escaped by the skin of my teeth, and I'm all I'm I'm all right.
So let's talk about the Mary Celeste continues to captivate imaginations, even today. So what in your view makes this particular, disappearance so enduring that it stays even now?
Because everyone loves an unsolved mystery. The Mary Celeste was in 1872. The Mary Celeste was found drifting on a calm sea in the somewhere in the Atlantic on a nice, bright, clear day, and another ship which approached it was got curious, and they sent their crew, a skeleton crew, on board that ship to find out what's happening. Why are they not responding to our signals? And they found a ship in perfectly good condition with not a soul on board. Until then, nobody knows what happened to that crew. Where did the crew disappear? And the ship was just floating calmly in calm waters. So there have been many conspiracy theories. There were many stories written. There was a movie, I think. There was a TV series. Doctor Who had a couple of episodes on Mary Celeste. Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, he wrote a short story on what happened after, kind of stories. Uh, what happened to the crew after that. So, but the mystery still remains because it's unsolved.
So let's talk about Mayday, maritime disasters that really shook the world. Let's talk about your book, Mayday. Across many of these incidents, human error and hubris emerges repeatedly. So, yes. So, do you feel that, the maritime world has learned anything from this at all? Or does overconfidence still lurk beneath the surface? I mean, it was a huge, it shook the world. So, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Again, that you have two questions. So the answer would be yes and yes. The maritime world has learned a lot, especially from the disaster of the Titanic in 1912. The governments all got together and made a long list of rules and regulations for international shipping. And with each succeeding disaster, each subsequent disaster, more and more rules were formed. So they did make shipping safer. Accidents got fewer, no doubt about it. But uh, are you going to say that there'll be no accidents henceforth? Not at all. As long as humans are running ships, there will be accidents. And I'm not sure if you have one day you have self-driven ships like you have self-driven cars. I'm not sure if they'll be totally accident free, because there is one uh, key from this book. If you read this book, there is one common factor which uh, was which took place in all the major disasters of the world of the 19th and 20th centuries. I mean, disasters where thousands of lives were lost, or there was untold damage to the environment, and fishing industry, tourism industries were all gone for decades. So that kind of disasters. But there was one common thread, and that was human error. By human error, I mean it can be negligence, it can be hubris, it can be overconfidence, it can be incompetence, laziness, whatever it may be. But humans, as long as humans are running ships, trust me, there will be more accidents.
So, let's talk a little bit about the cost cutting, negligence, and the administrative failure that appears frequently in maritime history. When you tell me about all of these incidents, so do you really feel that the industry is probably getting more accountable today, or is safety still compromised, by economic pressure? What is the truth behind this?
Again, I would say the answer would be yes and yes. The first part is yes, because the industry is definitely getting more accountable today. A lot of regulations have come in place which have to be abided by. The uh, ships are being designed in a much safer manner. The crews are getting better trained. So accidents have definitely fallen, but not totally. You know, that is the one. The second thing is cost cutting and all that still going on. That also is happening, especially by the small fly by night operators who just want to make a quick buck and, disappear. They are the ones who cut costs. They don't maintain their ships. They bend the rules. They bribe the inspectors so that they can pass all the inspections. And they are also running their ships, maybe not internationally, maybe on the coast of their own countries. So that too is happening side by side. And I don't see any changes in the near future, because so far both are, flourishing together.
How sad. So let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about wind chimes by the sea. In wind chimes, you highlight how seafarers remain largely unseen and under-acknowledged, even though you keep the world moving. So why do you think society is so disconnected, from the lives of those at sea? I mean, if you ask me, I really can't understand. I'm very frightened of the sea, honestly, at night. So why do you think there is such a
Many are.
disconnect? Yeah.
Because it's normally it's very human to be. It's a case of out of sight, out of mind. We seafarers are seldom on land. We spend 6 to 8 to 9 months a year away from home, trying to provide for our families, and people don't see us. Our neighbors and friends. Okay, hi. How? When did you come? Ah, when are you going back? Ah, okay, bye. It's something like that all the time. So once we're out of sight, but we are out of mind. So that should answer your question. But I know you're referring to my COVID story about the a crew stranded in the middle during the COVID lockdown. And may I read out a bit so that
Please.
your audience
Yes.
can also get an
I,
idea of
I,
what,
absolutely. We would love that.
what it
We would
was
love.
like at sea during that period? Okay, so here is a TV newsreader. She's telling the world in general about seafarers. Is this how the world treats our seafarers? Behind the scenes, are seamen going about their duties quietly, transporting millions of tons of cargo across thousands of miles across the oceans. There they are on the high seas, locked down in floating prisons, at the mercy of Mother Nature and pirates active at various hotspots globally, forgotten and ignored by the rest of the world. They are trying to keep economies of nations alive, the wheels of trade running, because there is no substitute for shipping. So that is one part of it. And what the seamen went through in the same story, if you'll allow me to read a little bit of that, I won't be long. Here's a captain of the ship trying to explain to the manager at the head office what they are going through. the captain saying, imagine you're in lockdown at home. Now take away all land from this equation and replace it with water. Take away all the roads, the parks, the trees, the sounds of birds chirping. Let there be just water, water everywhere. As far as the eye can see, nothing else. Next, take away doctors and nurses, okay? That's right, no doctors, no nurses. Then, take away family and friends. Not enough? Take away television, news channels, entertainment, sports, Netflix. Still not enough? Take away the internet and social media. Leave behind just some WhatsApp messaging. Now, start adding. Add taking body temperatures twice a day. Add wearing a face mask every time we step out of our cabins to go on duty or meals. Getting scared if any colleague coughs or sneezes, knowing that there is no medical help around. Add mental health issues, suicidal thoughts that arise because of the isolation and the stress. Not enough? Add working 7 days a week, rain or shine, not knowing when we'll get to go home. Add living under a constant fear of infection from visitors in port, and so on and so on. So, so this was a trying to give you an idea what it is like to be at sea because people don't know. Frankly, people don't care.
That really touched me because I don't think I'd even seen this with this lens, you know.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. Most people don't have any idea what it's like.
So, mother of a seaman's child, what do people commonly misunderstand about the families who wait, on shore while their loved ones spend months on sea? I mean, there's such a disconnect because I have, my father was traveling all the time. And yes, of course, there is family lineage, and you will continue to stay connected to, your parents and your children and all of them. But there is a disconnect somewhere. So, tell us a little bit about that.
Mother of a seaman's child is about a single parent, mother who's bringing up her child all alone, almost like a single parent, although her husband is there, but the husband is most of the time at sea and trying to earn a decent wage to provide for his family. And many seafarers children, in fact, including my own son, they grew up as in single parent families because I was always away. In those days, I'm talking about the 80s, 90s, we had very long contracts at sea, which we had to complete. 9 months, sometimes 12 months away from home. Only later, by the mid 90s onwards, so our service conditions improved and we were more at home. I was 4 on, 4 off, 4 months on, 4 months off from the mid 90s onwards. And later, the last 10 years, I was 3 on, 3 off. So the conditions have definitely improved. My son, unfortunately, grown up without his father. And I missed the best years of his life because of my job. So it has happened to many people of my age group. They are growing up with just their mothers. The mothers have a really hard time, not only to be both parents at the same time, but also to, what people say about her and what the catcalls and the uh, whatever they go through. I really feel sorry for them, and I wish there was another way. So my poem is about that.
So you write about moments, where sailors are just 1 hour away from a safe shelter, and are denied by fate. So how do seafarers really learn to live with, the reality about timing, luck, or forces beyond their control, which can really determine their life and survival? So you're every day really on the edge, honestly. So how do you live like that, Beetashok?
Well, learn to live like that. We learn to have faith in God. We learn to have faith in our superiors, hope they won't screw up and hope they won't harm us. I spent 45 years at sea with that kind of faith, that knowing that God is there to protect me and I will be able to get back home safe and sound every time. So you have to have faith. If you don't have faith, I wonder, it's going to be hard. And you have to be lucky, of course. I mean, I have been through so many near misses and near, death incidents. I don't want to exaggerate too much, but I'm fine. So,
Would you like to share with our listeners any one incident like that that you remember and recall?
well, I was we caught in the eye of a cyclone a couple of times, and you don't know whether you're going to escape it, because in the eye of the cyclone, you are absolute. It is There is no wind, there's no nothing, but the swell of the sea is so high. It's higher than the where you're standing on the top deck of the bridge, and you don't know if your ship will capsize, and if it does, then there's no one to help you, and it will be minutes when the for the ship to sink. I've been chased by pirates, and once they come on board, there's nothing you can do, because we are not armed, we are not trained to carry. Not only are we not allowed to carry arms, we're not trained in arms, in warfare. So we are sitting ducks if they manage to come on board, and they will take the ship hostage, and they will, you know, beat us up and do whatever they want. I mean, they can kill us also. So I have been in a couple of situations like that, but I have managed to escape the pirates. I have managed to survive these storms, and I'm still here.
What did it teach you, Beetashok, about yourself?
I'm lucky. I got lucky. And again, look, this is not the days of the Titanic or even before. The ships are safer. Ships are, built to last. Ships are built not to capsize instantly. Their center of gravity and the balance and all that has been that is. And we are better trained. We know how to load our ships and distribute the weights accordingly, so that the center of gravity remains low. We don't, capsize like that. So there are a lot of factors. It's our own knowledge and experience, and of course, a bit from help from up there.
The divine intervention.
Absolutely.
So, just some closing thoughts. There is a general perception about merchant sailors leading very reckless and flashy lifestyles. A lot of people are very frightened, and if I may use the word, they are also called womanizers. Is that correct?
You forgot to mention alcoholics and gamblers and losers as well.
Quite a
Okay,
lot
so
we
that's
want
what
to
you're
use social
describing is
adjectives.
the typical, stereotype sailor that everyone thinks that all sailors are. It may have been true in the 50s, 60s, and in the 70s. When I joined shipping in the 70s, there were many, many like that. But gradually things have changed. And now things are so difficult to, there is such restriction of freedom, and such restrictions of shore leave thanks to 9/11. And there are so many rules in place. There is many shipping companies have zero alcohol policy, no drinking on board. There are CCTV cameras in all public spaces, uh, so that big brother can watch you from sitting uh, head office. So all these factors are there, and now I pity. In fact, I pity the seaman of today. There's nothing he can do, even if he wants to be all these. As you described, he can't. There is no way he can. Otherwise, he's going to lose his job. There is zero tolerance for this kind of thing. So I'm glad in a way that I have seen those days as well. So I wrote about them, and I have pleasant memories of those days. But no longer. I mean, the seaman is no longer like that. He's a very responsible guy in a straight jacket, and he do- does his job quietly and goes home.
Let me just ask you, you've spent decades navigating the world as a sea captain. What was the turning point that made you realize that, you needed to write about the lives, mysteries, and emotions of seafarers? And what is it that keeps pulling you back to the sea across all your books? Keep going back.
Yes, there was a turning point, as you mentioned it. This was about 7, 8 years ago. I've always been an avid reader of fiction, right from my school days. And it dawned on me 7, 8 years back that there is just no sea fiction available. I mean, in my teens or my late teens, I had read, the Moby Dick and the Kane Mutiny and some of those old classics, but nothing after that. How come? Why is nobody writing about us? I mean, we have such We seafarers have such unique experiences. We meet all kinds of people, all good and bad. And our stories need to be told. And then I decided, why don't I do it? I mean, I've always loved to write, I've always dabbled in writing. And so that set me off. Fortunately, my job helped me a lot because, at sea, and especially on long sea passages over the Atlantic or the Pacific, you have a lot of time on your hands. And my I got working on my laptop, and I think about 7, 8, 9 months it took me to compile 12 sea stories, not necessarily for seafarers alone, but for anyone who likes to read fiction. It's just that the sea is a backdrop in the stories, or the protagonist is a seaman. And that's how Driftwood was born. That was my first book. This came out in 2019. And after that, I knew this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So that's how it began. Regarding the other part of the question, why do you go back to the sea? Yes, I have gone back to the sea because that's my comfort zone. I have so many stories in my head. I have 45 years of experience. I've lived, you know, at sea. So why wouldn't I? In fact, I did try to go out of my comfort zone, and I intend to do that again because I think every writer should evolve. So there is one book I wrote which has nothing to do with the sea about it, which I know we're not going to discuss because you didn't mention it. But since this one, The People Tree, these are 14 short stories with not a whiff of the sea about them.
Amazing. So, just an old sea dog and other poems. The poem gives the book its name. So, who is the old sea dog to you? A reflection of your own journey or a tribute to every sailor, who's lived a life on the waves. So, tell us a little bit about that. I mean, I really enjoyed this book, and just for all our listeners and for our viewers, this is the book. I unfortunately I'm holding it, in a way where it can't be read properly, but. I loved it. And, I'm a romance addict. So I told you the poem that I liked, but tell me a little bit about this book.
Just an Old Sea Dog is a tribute to old sea dogs. Of course, I'm an old sea dog myself. I haven't spent so many years at sea, 45 to be precise. An old sea dog is an old sailor who has spent so much time at sea that is more comfortable over there than on land. If you see old sailors, they even walk with their legs, a little spread because they are used to walking like that on ships to counterbalance the rolling of the ship. So you can identify, at least I can, an old sailor. And they are crusty and they are foul mouthed and they probably drink and smoke and, bad tempered. Okay, that typical stereotype old sea dog. My book is, in fact, that poem. There's a poem called Just an Old Sea Dog. It's about a typical sailor like that who is sailing on a ship with everybody else younger, much younger than him. So they don't kind of mix with him. So he sits often alone, out of sight, and lost in his memories, singing his songs. So this particular poem, is about that. And the publisher thought it would be a good idea to name the book also uh, accordingly.
Just an old sea dog
Just an Old Sea
and
Dog.
other poems. Would you like to read one poem out of your book, please?
Uh, okay. I will read out the first one. Okay, that's short and sweet. And this is called "Come Back to You." It's about. I wrote it when I was on leave. Between my contracts, and within 3 months or so, I was already longing for the sea. So it's a poem of longing, missing the sea. Come back to you. I've been with you for decades and more. Often wonder what I do it for. Not sure of the answer. Tis pleasure and pain. But in my next life, I'll do it again. To smell you and to feel the sky. Watch lonely islands passing by. The clouds at sunset changing hue. Maybe that's why I come back to you again and again. Come back to you. Not sure what it is that draws me back to live a life off the beaten track, the peace and quiet, the ozone rich air, far from the crowds, from anywhere. The murmur of the waves at dawn, the song of the wind as it hums along, the dark depths of the ocean blue. God knows why I come back to you, but year after year, come back to you. Did spend some years at life ashore, but couldn't take it anymore. My heart belonged to only you. To you, I wanted to be true. Returned to you, and here I am, braving the elements as best I can, witnessed all your tantrums too. Nevertheless, I come back to you, as always, come back to you. I miss you at home in the dust and heat, in the traffic snarls of city streets. I long for the discipline, clockwork routine that shipboard life has always been. Even storms that make you explode seem magical when I'm on the road. Like a moth to a candle flame, I too will one day come back to you, will surely come back to you. That's it.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, there's longing in that, and there is reverence in that, and there is. I traveled with you into those lonely islands, and I traveled with you with the hues of the sunset. Oh my God, Beetashok, keep writing. It's beautiful,
Thank you. I hope
really
to
beautiful.
continue writing. Yeah.
So, what guidance or practical wisdom would you offer to aspiring writers, who hope to find their voice and sustain a long writing journey? I mean, for both you and me, I love writing, and this is where what I see myself doing forever. So I need to hear this from you.
Okay. So, um aspiring writers, you, I presume you love writing. That's why you want to be a writer. So, you must get into the habit of writing regularly. By regularly, I don't mean daily, but at least 3, 4 days a week. Get into the discipline of sitting down with pen and paper or your laptop and write something that you've been meaning to write. And that is one thing. And then read a lot. Read how other writers write, but not from the point of view of a reader. Read from the point of view of a writer. Uh, how has this story begun? How has the structure been made? How has the story ended? Learn the different styles that others, and eventually you'll evolve a style of your own. Read like a writer, and observe people. If you're traveling on the metro, or or sitting in a cafe, watch the people around you. Wha- what's that person doing? What are his habits? What's that tattoo on the left arm of the guy who's serving you coffee? Stuff like that. Put them all in your story, then your scene will come alive. And so don't be afraid to rewrite everything. Give your put away what you've written for a while. After a week or two, read it again with a fresh eye, as if reading it for the first time. And do you like it? I mean, do you want some changes? Tweak your story, make some changes as you like. Give your manuscript or whatever to someone whose opinion you trust, and accept their comments, accept their
Criticism.
criticism. So be thick skinned, accept, you are not perfect. Nobody is perfect. And there is room to improve for all of us. So, with these things in mind, all the best to you.
And if there's one book that you would recommend, Beetashok, which one would you say that would be essential in reading from your point of view?
There's no particular book that I can recommend to everyone, because everyone is different, everyone has different tastes. For example, I mean, I love this novel Catch 22 by Joseph Heller. It's an old classic. I've read it, I think, 3 times in my lifetime. But there are others who say, oh, I couldn't finish it. Oh, I can't understand it. So then there's a book called Gone with the Wind, the old classic Margaret Mitchell. And people are saying, Arey, who's going to read 1,000 pages long? So I've decided not to recommend any particular book for to anyone in particular. Even the recent book, The Covenant of Water by Abraham Verghese, I thought it was excellent. But again, many people have said, Arey, yaar, kaun padhega? No. So I really don't want to recommend any particular book to all and sundry.
So there are many poems that I really wish I could take out the time to read, but let me just read for all our listeners. Stay with me. This is from your book.
My romantic poem. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the most romantic one, you know. Stay with me. When I see cruise ships glow so bright, like glowworms in the dark of night, think of you waiting patiently, silently, stoically. As clouds sailing by blind the stars, silver in shadow hiding Mars, remember our raw love years ago turned tender now like silent snow. As the years become faded photographs tucked away in dusty albums, let's look back on the time that has passed and quietly smile. Give me the strong winds like Noah's dove. I'll fly up harbor to the one I love. When the grey dawn brings the light, let me kiss your lips, hold you tight. Like the first rain on parched earth, drench my soul for what it's worth. With a love that only you can give me strength and a life to live. Sole provider that you are, raised our children single handedly, all the while I was away and afar, riding the waves. Feel the breath of the morning breeze, hear the music of the sea, spend the rest of your life with me. Stay with me, stay with me. Spend the rest of your life with me. Sing with me, stay with me. Oh my God, beautiful. Thank you so much, Beetashok, for being on today's episode. Thank you for joining us actually on this unforgettable voyage into the heart of the ocean and the mind of a man who's lived its stories. Like, I've not had this sort of a podcast before this, and it's such an honor. And for all our listeners, if this conversation has moved you, inspired you, or left you curious about the world at sea, please follow, rate, and leave a review for the Mohua Show. It helps us bring more powerful voices and untold stories to your ears, and we can bring you amazing authors, poets, writers, and seafarers like Beetashok Chatterjee on our show. Thank you for taking all the time and being here today with us.
Thank you, Mohua, for inviting me.
Thank you.